A culture is simply defined as a way of life. What is compliance culture? Hello friends, and welcome to the third part of my series on compliance. First of all, let me thank you for the overwhelming response for the first two parts of my series. Today I will discuss a very interesting topic, that is compliance culture. We will discuss about the compliance culture, how to develop a robust compliance culture, and the ways and means to sustain that culture in banking scenario. Compliance is defined as the act of following laws, rules, regulations, and various code of conducts, including the voluntary ones. Compliance culture is the process that is guided and supported by employees to create an environment in an organization which promotes, encourages, and seeks to adopt best practices in adhering to established norms, external laws, internal policies, and ethical values. Compliance should first and foremost be integrated within an institution's overall business management function, including its goals and objectives. A strong compliance culture can only exist where there is a sense of partnership between compliance officers and employees, between top management and those below in the hierarchy, and between the organization and its various stakeholders. Some of the salient points of developing a robust compliance culture are: 1. Tone from the top. Compliance culture begins from the top. The senior management of the organization should lead by example, such as adherence to regulatory laws and internal policies of the bank. All staff members should be urged to evaluate and cooperate with the top management, ensuring that the financial institution complies with the applicable laws, regulations, rules, and it plays an essential role in helping to preserve the integrity and reputation of the bank. The board of the bank has a positive role to play in disseminating the essence of the compliance culture. Number 2, align your business strategy and objective with your desired compliance culture. Employees are more likely to commit to a culture of compliance if they understand that the compliance can give your organization a competitive advantage by means such as enhancing brand reputation with stakeholders and avoiding financial loss due to compliance breaches. A positive compliance culture allows people to admit that there may be gaps in their knowledge or that they have made a mistake. Cultivation of such honesty in staff at all levels allows an organization to take collective action at the earliest possible opportunity in the event of problems occurring. Number 3, sound policies and procedures. Bank must put in place appropriate policies and procedures in line with regulatory guidelines, which are to be reviewed and amended periodically by the board of the bank, and all changes and amendments are to be brought to the knowledge of the staff members. Number 4, effective control monitoring, testing, and compliance audit. The primary function of compliance is compliance risk management, which is not possible without the imposition of control measures. These control measures revolve around adherence to laws, rules, and regulations within given timelines. Once controls are put in place, concerned person will abide by the same on a regular basis, hence contributing to a compliance culture. Review of control is essential by strict monitoring and assessing its effectiveness. Test checking of compliance function, especially in risk-prone vulnerable areas, is to be carried out periodically, identifying control gaps and taking remedial action. Internal audit for compliance function is to be implemented independent of statutory and concurrent audit. The primary focus would be to identify areas of non-compliance of regulatory guidelines that may lead to imposition of fines or penalties. Number 5, accountability. The main pillar on which compliance culture stands is accountability. A culture of owning responsibility either individually or collectively for all actions done individually or on behalf of the organization to be deeply ingrained in every member of the organization. Clear-cut demarcation of responsibilities and accountability across the hierarchy in the bank will facilitate a robust compliance culture in the bank. Number 6, communication. An effective communication with clarity, transparency, and a sense of purpose is to be stringently promoted, both within individuals or groups. Communication can be for general purpose or specifically related to regulation, both internal and external. An effective compliance culture requires continuous communication with staff belonging to all levels of the organization. Number 7, training. Effective training and education to employees on compliance issue is the critical component of training process. Awareness of compliance risk, imposition of penalties, accountability exercise, and preventing measures which are to be adopted to counter such risks will go a long way in imbibing the robust compliance culture. Number 8, compliance infrastructure. An effective compliance infrastructure should include the following: designated chief compliance officer with independent authority to report directly to board, MD and CEO. B, there should be direct communication with all business departments and nodal compliance officers monitoring the level of compliance. C, clear reporting lines to the audit committee of the board regarding all compliance risks, compliance violation, imposition of fines and penalty, fixing accountability for compliance lapses. 9, technology. Successfully engineering a culture of compliance throughout an organization is primarily centered on two concepts. 1, implementing support technology that is flexible, and 2, sustaining employees' training to adopt technological changes. A culture of compliance to be all-encompassing relies on technological support such as an efficient internal networking system, MIS, communication channels, on-site portals, etc. Tools and technology used by bankers for compliance are as important as the policies they implement. Regulators have expressed concern of the compliance culture in the Indian banking system, stating that compliance is far from satisfactory. They have referred to the huge amount of penalties and fines imposed upon banks for instances of violation, breaches of regulatory guidelines, etc. Such assessment of compliance culture puts greater pressure on bank to strengthen the compliance infrastructure in bank. The following objectives are to be borne in mind to instill a culture of compliance as a second nature in every bank employees. 1, adapting to changing nature of regulations. 2, increase accountability for compliance breakdown. 3, a culture of compliance requires an organization to demonstrate values of integrity, trust, and respect for law. 3, a culture of compliance requires an organization to demonstrate the values of integrity, trust, and respect of the law. 4, bridge the gap between business objective and compliance obligations. 5, compliance to be a shared responsibility of each single or collective entity for both employees and business department along with compliance. 6, navigating regulatory changes with a culture of compliance. 7, values of integrity, trust, and obedience towards law. 8, communication with employees to inspire confidence and transparency. We can conclude by saying that a culture of compliance requires sharing of responsibility of regulatory obligations within the entire organization. Building a positive culture takes time and efforts. Start with exemplary leadership from the top and a commitment from the organization and its members, demonstrating the integrity, trust, and respect for the law and regulations. Thank you.